Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Afternoon. How are y'all doing today?
Wonderful, sir.
Good.
Good afternoon, Judge.
See, it's right at 2 o'clock.
How y'all doing today? Wonderful, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well.
Okay.
The SAP reset date is the 31st. It's the first.
Judge, it appears you have a connection problems. You're going in and out.
Is it me?
Yes.
Your screen is freezing every once in a while.
Hear me? Mr. Jordan, you hear me?
Yes, Judge, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm trying to, am I having the connection problem or are they having the connection problem?
I'm fine.
Your
Okay,
screen freezes every once in a while, Judge. So it might just be that it's locking up.
okay. How am I now?
It's good now.
Okay, all right. If someone will let me know, I'm not sure what the problem is, but who do we have first?
We have position number 18, Mr. Singh.
Good afternoon, Mr. Singh. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You have been in case 23 CR 000295E, simple battery family violence. History.
Seven
Mr.
total.
Howard?
Seven total. Last arrest was in August, transmitting false report of a fire. That's a conviction. He's on probation for that in Cobb County. May arrest for DUI, furnishing alcohol below legal age. That's open. November 2021, simple assault, family violence. 2021, trespass, damage to property. 2021, fugitive from justice. And the 2021 ag assault dismissed. So he got on probation in those
Okay.
open cases.
Thank you. Who's presenting? Is this your case, Mr. Holland?
Yes, Judge.
You can continue.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Judge, I looked into the 2021 Cobb County simple assault, could not find who the victim was in that case, but was able to confirm that it was open. The defendant in this particular incident was at the incident location of 631 Mabry Road in Sandy Springs, Georgia, and that's Mabry Road. And he entered into the bedroom of his father and began harassing him and eventually punched him in the arm. We did speak with the victim, Mr. Singh, and that's SACHIN D-R-A Singh, S-I-N-G-H. He wants no further contact, advises that there could be some potential MH issues in this case, and would the defendant may need some assistance in that particular realm. I believe that our victim advocate said that he would be on Zoom. The state is recommending a $3,000 surety bond, a stay away from the incident location, no further contact, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and an MHET.
Yes, Your Honor, this is Samantha Adams from Fulton County Public Defender's Office. I actually represent Mr. Singh. He does in fact qualify for the public defender's representation. And I also spoke with Mr. Singh's father. I don't want to butcher his last name. He did say he would be available on Zoom. However, he conveyed to me something slightly different from what he conveyed to the state as it relates to contact. He relayed to me that he would like no violent or harassing contact from his son. And so, Your Honor, if the court would not mind to give an opportunity for us to try to get him on the Zoom if he's not already here, so that he himself can let the court know what he would like to do.
Okay, so can you all give me a moment? I'm going to try to get a better connection. Just give me a moment. Mr. Jordan, I might try to get on with a different, if you can look in once I try that. Thank you. Okay, can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's gonna be a little bit better. Would you change, if you can, Mr. Jordan, the name there for me, please? And I'm sorry, Ms. Adams. Can you tell me what you, I believe that you were saying that Mr. Singh wants to speak on behalf of his son?
Yes, Your Honor. I did speak with Mr. Singh. I did see he has since joined while Your Honor was getting a better connection. He did provide that he would like to speak. But prior to him speaking, Your Honor, I did also want to let the court know that Mr. Sohail Singh is 19 years old, He is a college student at Kennesaw State University. He's entering his second semester there. His major is accounting, and he has been raised in Georgia. He lives with his family. He does have another place to potentially go, whether that be with his mother, if he does not go with his father. And if he doesn't go with either parent, his father, Mr. Singh, said he has the means and the ability to also put him up in an extended stay. Just that's it, as long as the court, however the court sees fit. But Mr. Bobby, he's named on here as Bobby Singh. That is Mr. Sachindra Singh, Mr. Sohail Singh's father. Mr. Sohail Singh, are you there? I'm sorry, Mr. Sachindra Singh, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay, Mr. Singh, I'm Judge Eric Morrow. Would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
You can put your hand down, Mr. Singh. What would you like to tell the court about your son?
I would say that, I mean, I don't feel my life being threatened or anything like that. Just to give, I don't know if I need to get into detail of instance or not, but, he was just verbally harassing me and stuff. And then, I had enough for a month, and then I provoked him. So he just like came and, he didn't like what I had to say to put him down when he was putting me down. So, I mean, I was just like gave him multiple opportunity to leave the house and leave me alone. And, I just lost it myself. So then, he acted like, he wanted to throw a punch at me. So I just called the cops and they arrested him. So that's what happened. I think, if he can stay away from me till he calms down, that'd be great. I mean, he needs help as far as, his bipolar episodes and stuff, but that's all I have to say. He has been nice for an entire year. When he was on medication, he was doing his stuff and doing everything. So, it was just an unfortunate situation that night.
All right, and it's my understanding that you do not want any further contact with him, and you want him to stay away from the Mayberry Road address. Is that correct?
I mean, I don't want any, I talked to the public, I forgot the name, I talked to his lawyer, and, I mean, I don't want any harassing or violent contact with him, but if he needs anything from me, he can contact me nicely. I can provide it for him. He's still my son, but I just don't want to be harassed by him or be called names.
Has this happened in the past, Mr. Singh?
Yes, sir. What?
Has this happened in the past?
Where he calls me names?
Well, where there's, where you have problems with him, as far as either physical or mental type problems.
I have had mental type problems with him a few times, and if it escalates if he does not take his medications. So,
and Judge, just briefly, if I may, Mr. Singh, are you aware of, or do you know who the victim was of the 2021 simple assault out of Cobb County?
it was me.
Thank you. And Judge, with that said, we would ask for the no further contact.
Okay. Anything further, Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Being that Mr. Sachindra does not fear for his life, Your Honor, and he understands that although his son does have some issues, he has also admittedly provided to this court that this incident that has caused Mr. Sohail Singh to be incarcerated was actually provoked by himself. And so with that, Your Honor, we would be requesting that Mr. Sohail Singh receive unsecured judicial release and so he can get back to his life, get back to school. And if the court sees fit, we would also request maybe even some restrictions as it relates to medication. I don't know how that would work. However, that's what we would be requesting.
right. It's going to be a $5,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with the alleged victim in the case, Mr. Singh. Stay away from the 631 Maybury Road address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. He is to stay on any prescribed medications that he is currently on. Aside from those, no drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons while out on bond.
Thank you.
And Judge, the state would just request a PTS just because there's another open case.
I mean, I don't, what is your request, Mr. Hollins?
I'm going based on a recommendation by my supervisor. So just 1 second, pretrial services.
Okay, given his history and the open DUI in the matter, and the fact that pretrial services is no longer accepting on their own cases that involve any type of violence, I'm going to respect that in this particular case and have it go through the jail. All right. Good luck to you, all of you.
Judge, it's not just an open
Your
DUI,
Honor.
also the simple assault. I do apologize, but it is also the simple assault.
Okay, I understand, Mr. Hollins. All right.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes.
Make a request. I mean, either it would be me or his mom to, post his bail if you can be a little bit lenient on the amount.
Okay, Mr. Singh, I gave him a signature bond, so he's not going to have to post any bail to get out of jail. He's going to be able to sign himself out, okay?
Okay, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Have a good day.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, what was the contact provision?
No further contact.
Thank you.
Position 22.
Good afternoon, Ms. Williams. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? Or, you have been charged in case 23 CR 000299B with battery and cruelty to children in the third. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
It's Kia Williams. Okay. 17 total. I got she's on probation. Criminal attempt to commit a felony. That's 15 SC 133266. 2016, they gave her 9 years probation for that. On probation for shoplifting as well in Henry County. Possession of tools for the commission of a crime. Gwinnett County, probation as well. I got a 2020 failure to appear, theft by taking. Probation for criminal attempt. Possession of tools, giving false name. That was 2019. 2019 failure to appear. 2019 probation. 2019 theft by receiving, flat screen. 2018 shoplifting. Probation from 2018, underlying charges, ag assault. 2018 DUI, giving false name. That's the shoplifting. You want me to keep going?
You're good. Thank you, Mr. Howard. Mr. Hollins?
Yes, Judge. This incident occurred on August 21st, 2022 as a battery and cruelty to children in the third. Officers were met with the victim, Miss Lakeisha Williams, SLAKEISHA Williams, traditional spelling, at 166 Anderson Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia, when she stated that the defendant and one other person grabbed the victim or grabbed Miss Williams by her shirt while she was standing on the top of the stairs at presumably what I think is the apartment complex as they all live at, and drug her down the stairs. The defendant and the other party began then striking Miss Williams in the face. The pair then left and a witness stated she saw the entire incident occur. When officers went to the victim's residence, they were advised that the Honda that the defendant was driving left when they saw the police pull up. There was a child present, which was Ms. Williams's child. Based on the history with the multiple failure to appears and the probation violations, the state is asking for a $6,000 total surety, $5,000 for the battery, $1,000 for the cruelty, a no further contact, stay away from the incident address, and a no alcohol, drugs, and weapons while out on bond.
Okay. Ms.
Yes,
Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Williams actually lives in that same building, so I don't think a stay away would be very helpful, considering that she just lives a couple doors down. Furthermore, as it relates to Ms. Kia Williams, one moment, she does not qualify. I just needed to make sure that I mentioned she does not qualify for services, but we are working to try to get her, attempt to help her to get a bond today. She has completed the 11th grade. She has a stable job. She's worked for La Chiquita, which is a tortilla company. She's worked there for 2.5 years as an operator. Her sister has had a situation where her mother now has custody of her niece, and she helps her mother take care of her niece. She gets her every weekend. She was born and raised here in Georgia. She has ties to the community, and she has not been in trouble since April 14th of 2020. So, Your Honor, we asked the court to, if the court so is obliged, to give her a signature bond.
Who is Miss Williams just a next door neighbor?
It is my understanding that she may, in fact, be a family member, if I'm not mistaken, but she does not live in the same home. She lives in a different location. She lives in a different unit.
Judge, if the defendant doesn't actually live at a residence, like live there, then we would respectfully request that a stay away of the entire residence, apartment complex, excuse me.
Right. Well, I'm told that she lives there, Mr. Hollins. Right, Ms. Adams? She lives in that apartment. She lives in an apartment.
Yes. Yes, Your Honor. I just want to be doubly sure, if you don't mind giving me one brief moment.
Okay.
Well, while she's figuring that out, Judge, I mean, just looking at the warrant and incident report, there would be concerns that the person that she's living with is the other person that battered our victim. So, I mean, I'm not sure if that's going to be something. And again, we would still request that the stay away be placed.
So you want me to have? Go ahead.
First of all, I am Miss Williams, and my niece was the person that's out there when the fight was dealing with. So the whole case is mixed up. Actually, I'm Miss Williams, and my mom was jumped on as she was coming to get my niece due to the situation. I am Miss Williams.
Okay. Miss Williams, thank you. I just need to know. I have a Kia Williams and Lakeisha Williams. Lakeisha Williams I have down as the alleged victim. Is that the case?
You talking to me, Yana?
No, I'm talking to one of the lawyers.
Okay, I thought so.
That's what I have, Judge, as Lakeisha Williams as the victim.
Okay, and so my question is, do Lakeisha Williams and Kia Williams live in the same apartment?
It's my understanding that they do not. Is that correct? That's correct, right, Ms. Williams?
Correct. Yeah, that's what I understand as well.
Okay, so they live in the same apartment complex.
That is my understanding, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything further?
Nothing further, Judge.
Nothing
All right.
further.
It's going to be a $2,000 good bond for the battery, a $1,000 good bond for the cruelty, a total of a $3,000 good bond. No further contact with Miss Lakeisha Williams. Stay away from Miss Lakeisha Williams's apartment. That's in 166 Anderson Avenue. I'm not going to make her stay away from her own apartment, but I will make her stay away from Lakeisha Williams's apartment. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Miss Kia Williams.
Your Honor, may I make a brief inquiry?
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Falk.
Good afternoon. We're showing on the warrant that the address is 817 Ayrshire Circle for the defendant. That is the address that they had and wrote down for her when they placed her under arrest.
Okay.
That's not her address.
Okay, so that, I mean, that typically, Your Honor, that's the address they get off of her identification or other information that is provided. So that's why I was just making sure that that is not her address, because that's the address we have for her. That when the police took out the warrant yesterday.
Understood. The
Oh,
address.
sorry, in August, excuse me.
August, and the address that has been provided is 166 Anderson Ave, Northwest, apartment B4.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you.
Okay. Who do we have next?
Position 17, Monahan.
And I'm sorry, Your Honor, I don't mean to interrupt, but there's a plea for position 7. Whom do I send that paperwork to?
Officer Norris.
Okay, thank you. I've emailed it.
Good afternoon, Mr. Monahan. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? Was that a yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 000294B with battery, family violence, 2 counts. Is it a history, Mr. Howard?
17 total. He's on probation. Criminal attempt to commit armed robbery. That's 18 SC 162010. In 2019, they gave him 3 years to serve, 2 years probation. He got an assault hold out of Marietta. Probation violations from 2015, 16, 2018, this year. FTAs from 2015, 2017. 2017, possession of a firearm by convicted felon conviction. False report of a crime conviction, 2019. Disorderly conduct, 2018 conviction. 2012, simple battery DV conviction. He went to felony earlier and got no bond. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Mr. Hollins?
Yes, Judge. This incident occurred on March 29th of 2022. The incident location of 2706 George Street Northeast, Unit A in Atlanta, Georgia. The victim in this case is the mother of the defendant's child, Miss Tanisha Williams, TANISHA Williams, traditional spelling. The defendant and the victim were in the car together, and defendant was highly intoxicated when he started attacking and striking Miss Williams by and additionally biting her. The defendant injured her so severely that her minor son had to actually bring the police to her because she was having such severe stomach pain, vomiting, and the officers also noted that she could not stand when speaking with them. Of course, there's the risk of intimidating witness and danger to the community because he injured the victim so severely. And when he was picked up, he was found on a different charge that involved a handgun and cocaine. There's also the warrants out of Cobb County for the simple assault back in April of 22 and the false statements in May of 22. With the open case, the state is recommending a $10,000 total surety, $5,000 for each count. Stay away from the incident location, no further contact, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Monahan is a father of 2. However, he is also the caregiver of 3 additional children. He and the alleged victim do live together. And he takes care of 5 children. He has gotten through the 11th grade. He's gainfully employed at Crystals. He's been there for a year and a half. He is from Atlanta, so he definitely has ties to the community. And he also participates in community service events that he himself does on his own. Just the day before he was arrested, he gave food out on the street. It's just something that he does in order to help with people in the community. So, Your Honor, we would be asking for also, additionally, Your Honor, the state has not provided any additional incidents since that day with regards to this alleged victim. And with that, Your Honor, we will be asking for an unsecured judicial release for Mr. Monahan. As it relates to, signature bond, as it relates to these charges. We do understand that he does have holds, but as it relates to these charges, that's what we would be requesting.
Okay, well, it seems like he has bigger fish to fry than these. I'm going to go with the state's recommendation of $5,000 good bond per charge. Stay away from the George Street address. No further contact with Ms. Williams. He can have third-party transfer of the minor children for visitation or the minor child for visitation, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Cortez. Who do we have next?
Position number 2, Ms. Allen.
Good afternoon, Ms. Allen. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Application Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? Thank you. I'm being told by pretrial that this is Ms. Allen's first arrest. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor. In this incident, it did occur on July 8th, 2021 at 617 Blue Flag Lane. Officers were dispatched to a physical altercation on that date. When they arrived on scene, they were met with the victim in this case, Ms. China Williams. That's Kyna Williams, common spelling. She indicated to officers that there was an altercation, and the defendant in this case did pull her hair, pulling out one of her dreads, and kicked her in the face and head, leaving visible injuries and bruising. The officers notated there were pictures showing the bruising around her eyes, and also there was a video shown to officers of the incident at that time. Because we understand that this is the defendant's first arrest, however, given the violent nature of the offenses alleged, it seems to have been some sort of sneak attack. We're concerned about the risk of reoffense. We don't know the relation between the parties. However, we want to make sure that this victim is safe. So in this case, we're going to be requesting a $3,000 surety, no further contact with the victim. In this case, a stay away from that incident location, 1 day anger management, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Moses Counts.
Good afternoon, Judge. Nice to see you. I'm here on behalf of Miss Allen. She is 23 years old, does have a good address in Fairburn, Georgia, 617 Blue Flag Lane. She is a high school graduate seeking employment currently. Your Honor, she has no history at this point. Everything that we're here for are allegations. Based on that, she has significant ties. She's been in the state for 10 plus years. I would ask for your consideration of a signature bond. Thank you.
Who is Ms. Williams to Ms. Allen?
I don't want to misstate the relationship. Miss Allen, are you able to just briefly say who she is to you?
That's my auntie to me.
Right. This is her aunt. She does not reside. I believe this incident location was her grandmother's house, which is where she lives. The aunt was just there visiting.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And so we're fine, again, Your Honor, if there's a stay away from the aunt, but the incident location my client resides at, the aunt does not.
Okay. Anything further, Ms. Duncan?
Nothing further from the state.
It's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pre-trial per the judge, 1 day anger awareness, no further contact with the alleged victim, Ms. Williams, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Allen.
And we would just like to note for the record the objection to the signature on the battery.
Please, sir. Please, sir. Please, sir.
So noted, Ms. Duncan. Who do we have next?
Position 19, Tatum.
Good afternoon, Mr. Tatum. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Tatum, you've been charged in case 23 CR 0000296H with loitering and prowling and possession and use of drug-related objects. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
18 total, 4 cycles out of Florida. Last arrest was 2022, September, out of Harris County, this Georgia. Possession of a Schedule 2 counts. That appears to be open. 2020 DUI appears to be open. 2012 probation. A DUI conviction 2011. DUI obstruction driving without a valid license conviction 2011, 2009 DUI, another 09 DUI. Last arrest in Florida, 2010 probation violation. Well, 2012 as well. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Hollins.
Yes, Judge, this is a loiter, prowling, and possession and use of drug-related objects that occurred when officers were dispatched to 154 Peachtree Hills Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia, where the defendant was found peeking into somebody else's home. Search incident to arrest found 3 syringes and 2 pipes. He is a multi-state offender. He's got multiple DUI convictions. The state is recommending, and along with the open case, the state is recommending a $2,000 surety, $1,000 per count. Stay away from the incident location, no further contact, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and that's it.
Okay, Ms. Adams.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Tatum is actually a disabled Navy vet. He served 10 years in our United States military. He currently has associate's degree and attends DeVry University. He's a junior getting his bachelor's in IT for data administration. He is a Georgia resident. He's born and raised in LaGrange, and he actually still lives out there. When the incident actually occurred, Mr. Tatum was actually lost, and he was trying to find his way back to the highway. So the statement about him peeking through windows is simply just an allegation, Your Honor. And with that being said, based on his strong ties to the community and the service that he has provided to this country over the course of 10 years, Your Honor, we would be requesting an unsecured judicial release.
Right. It's going to be a $2,000 signature bond on each charge. Makes it a $4,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Peachtree Hills address, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Tatum.
Judge, I'm sorry, could you repeat what the disposition is?
It's a $2,000 signature bond through the jail for each charge. Is that what you needed?
Yes, it was. You said 2,000 each or 2,000 total?
2,000 each, 4,000 total.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Position number 9, Ms. Hall.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hall. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Hall, you've been charged in case 23CR00093J with theft by taking. I'm told by pretrial that this is Ms. Hall's first arrest.
First adult. I meant to put that on there.
First adult arrest. Thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor, this is the first adult arrest. However, the juvenile history, which can be heard at bond for those purposes under 1511-703, she does have a theft of property equal to $50 but less than $500 out of Texas from 2012. In this incident, it did occur on January 13th, 2023 at Tony's Sports Bar and Grill. The defendant did take money from a customer and put in the wrong amount in the cash register and keep the change. This incident was captured on surveillance footage, and the owner of the establishment reported the theft after viewing the surveillance footage. Given that this defendant does have a prior theft offense in the history, we do have some concern about the risk of reoffense in this case. However, the state is amenable to a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, no further contact with any of the establishment employees at that sports bar and grill, stay away from that sports bar and grill, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, no further violations of Georgia law, and an anti-theft class. The address, I believe, from the warrant was 6610 Roswell Road. Nothing further from the state.
All right, it's going to be a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from Tony's Bar and Grill. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you, Ms. Moses Counts?
Very much so. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Good luck to you, Ms. Hall.
Position 20, Williams.
And good afternoon, Mr. Williams. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. You've been charged in case 23 CR 000297G with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
You got 18 total. You got history out of Colorado and Oklahoma. Last arrest was 2011 though, probation, circulating recorded material. It came off of 2010 conviction out of Clayton County. Last arrest in Colorado was in the 80s. And his last arrest in Oklahoma was in 2007. The DUI, 06 DUI. 06 suspended license, no insurance. You want me to keep going?
Okay.
I got a 06 assault and battery as well. I don't see a disposition to it though.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Hollins?
Yes, Judge, we have very limited info as the warrant was very short. The defendant struck the victim and pulled her hair. We are concerned with the domestic violence cycle. The victim does state that she isn't fearful and wishes to have contact. The boyfriend they are boyfriend and girlfriend and live together. Just because of the history that he does have, while it's primarily not violent, we are concerned with just the limited amount of information that we have in regards to the facts from this case. We would request a $2,000 weapons while out on bond, and that's only because the no further contact is only because, again, we do not have enough information to say one way or the other whether it would be okay for the defendant to see the victim in this particular case.
You disconnected for just a moment, Mr. Holland, so I didn't get the amount that you're seeking for bond.
$2,000 in a surety, Judge.
Okay, and you said that the alleged victim did want contact. How did you come about that knowledge?
Our victim advocate, I believe, spoke with her judge. Earlier today.
Okay, what's her name?
I will tell you. I thought I wrote it down, but give me 1 second, Judge. I'll have that for you in just a moment.
Okay, and Mr. Purcell, anything to add to what Mr. Hollins has said? It's regarding the alleged victim.
Her name, good afternoon, Judge, and Happy New Year.
You also.
Her name is Tanya Smith, the victim. She
Okay.
said she was going to try to be on with us, so I don't see her on, but she did say she isn't fearful of the defendant, and she does wish to have contact with the defendant as well.
Do they live together?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Williams does qualify for Fulton County Public Defender Services. He has a GED. He has twin 14-year-old daughters that live in another state. He is, however, disabled, Your Honor. And the young lady, Tanya, I'm sorry, I missed her last name, Smith. Yes, Tanya Smith is also my understanding that she is his caregiver. Considering that he's disabled, Your Honor, we would be requesting, and also to Your Honor, being that he has not gotten into any trouble in the last 12 years, Your Honor, we will be requesting unsecured judicial release.
It is going to be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge, 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Smith, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Williams.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I believe I missed something. You said a $5,000 signature bond, anger awareness, and what was the other thing?
5,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge, 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Tanya Smith, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Okay. Who do we have next?
Position number 8.
Good afternoon, Mr. Garland. Ms. Garland, I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Garland, you've been charged in case 23 CR 0000285A with criminal trespass, fare evasion, and obstruction of a law enforcement officer. I'm being told by pretrial that this is Ms. Garland's first arrest. Ms. Duncan.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident did occur on January 14, 2023 at the 5 Points MARTA station located at 30 Alabama Street. This defendant was seen by MARTA PD pushing through the handicap fare gate without paying the appropriate fee. When she was approached by MARTA PD and told that she would have to leave because she did not pay the fare, she insisted that she was not leaving. They indicated to her that if she did not leave, she would be taken to jail. She was subsequently detained. However, when she became detained, she started to resist arrest by kicking, flailing, and pulling her arms away from officers and slipping her hands out of the handcuffs. The state is aware that this is the defendant's first offense, so we are amenable to a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, a stay away from the 5 Points MARTA station, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
All right, it's going to be a $1,000 signature bond through the jail on each charge, making for a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. Abide by any court of suspension that are. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, 3,000, right?
It is a $3,000 signature bond through the jail, $1,000 per charge. Abide by any MARTA suspension. And no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. That suit you, Ms. Moses Counts?
Yes, Your Honor. You said, after you said abide by the rules of MARTA, what was the last thing you mentioned?
No drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Good luck to you, Ms. Garland.
Position 16, Miano.
Good afternoon, Mr. Miano. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 0000291Y with simple assault, family violence, and simple battery, family violence. Is your history, Mr. Howard?
I got 4 total. July 2022, assault pistol violation. It's out of Maryland. 2020 August, arrest out of California for obstruction. 2019 obstruction conviction. He got a fugitive warrant out of California, and it's full extradition out of Riverside.
Okay. Mr. Hollins?
Yes, Judge, and concerning that 2020 obstruction, the defendant spent 116 days in confinement for that particular incident. And the disposition of the Maryland assault with the pistol is unsure or unclear. And so with that being said, the victim, Miss Adama Traore, and that's ADAMA TRAORE, was out getting groceries for her apartment. And when she returned, the defendant and another person were inside of her apartment located at 3200 Lenox Road Northeast in Atlanta, Georgia. Defendant used to live in the apartment, but no longer lives there and did not have a key. The defendant was doing laundry, and when asked to leave, the unknown gentleman left and the defendant stayed. While trying to get the defendant to leave, the victim was grabbed by the defendant, and he shoved her and then attempted to grab her throat. Once defendant knew that police were on the way, he grabbed his stuff and attempted to leave the apartment complex. We have not been able to speak with the victim in this case, but once we speak to her, we potentially may be completing a strangulation assessment. There's the obvious risk of the fact that he entered into her apartment without her knowledge in an unknown fashion and assaulted her and attempted to run from the police when he found out they were coming. So he's an obvious risk of intimidating the witness and flight risk. Judge, we are requesting a $3,000 surety per count. And a stay away from the incident location, a no further contact with the victim, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Miano, he is fairly new to the state of Georgia. However, he has been working. He's gainfully employed. He works for a warehouse. He's been there for about a month. He has an 11th grade education, and he's working on getting his GED. He's been working on getting his life on track, which is one of the reasons why he came to Georgia in the first place. This issue about how he was able to gain access to the home and whether or not he lived there is a factual dispute. I think that is not suited for today's purposes, because what my client has stated is definitely opposite from what the state has provided. With that being said, Your Honor, due to the fact that he is working to get his life on track and he's been doing well, with the exception of this incident, and in addition to the fact that we are aware that he does have this hold out of California, as it relates to this particular charge or these charges, in this case, we request a signature bond for Mr. Miano.
All right, it's going to be a $2,000 good bond per charge, which makes for a total of a $4,000 good bond. Stay away from the Lenox Road address, no further contact with the alleged victim, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Miano.
Position 14, Johnson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Johnson. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Johnson, you've been charged in case 23 CR 000289C with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
6 total. Last arrest was in December for suspended license. That appears to be open. November, suspended license, possession of drug-related objects. He had a battery DV that was non-processed in 2014, 2008 trespass conviction, and an 03 afraid conviction. That's it.
All right, Mr. Hollins.
Yes, Judge, this is a battery family violence incident that occurred with the victim, Mr. John Duncan, traditional spelling, at 1401 West Paces Ferry Road, Northwest in Atlanta, Georgia. The victim and the defendant have been roommates for approximately 2 weeks, and an argument ensued between them, and defendant pushed the victim into a counter, causing him to cut his elbow. There are very limited facts as we only have the warrant. Considering the 2003 affray and the 2008 criminal trespass, along with the arrest in 2014, the state is requesting a $2,000 surety bond, a stay away from the incident location, no further contact with the victim, Mr. Duncan, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. The state is not sure if the victim or the defendant are the owner of the residence they live in.
May I say something?
Mr. Johnson, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say is used against you, okay? Let Ms. Adams speak on your behalf, and if you need to speak with her regarding anything, I'm happy to give you that opportunity. I just don't want you to say something that might impede your case, okay?
Okay.
All right, Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Johnson actually does not live with the alleged victim in this case. And even if he did reside there for 2 weeks, that's not long enough to take up residency. 2 weeks is not long enough. With that being said, Your Honor, Mr. Johnson does have a high school diploma. He is originally from Decoa, Georgia, and he is actually set to begin a new position working at Whole Foods in Buckhead sometime this week. He does have a place to go. That would be his grandmother's house. That address is 1456 Midlawn Drive in Decatur, Georgia. And he is perfectly fine with staying away from the victim. With that being said, Your Honor, and considering the fact that he's just getting ready to start a new job, we would be requesting that he receive a unsecured judicial release for these charges.
Does he need to go back to the West Paces Ferry Road to pick up any belongings, Ms. Adams?
I do not believe he does. No, Your Honor.
Your client.
Your Honor, may I have a moment to speak with him? Because he apparently still has something more to add.
Okay, is it something about where you live, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir. Well, on my phone, I took pictures of where
Okay,
I was staying.
hold on, Mr. Johnson, I don't want you talking about the facts of the case. My only question to you is, do you need to go back to that West Paces Ferry address to get any of your belongings?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Then I'm going to allow you to go back there on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings.
Thank you. No, my vehicle is,
Okay, Mr. Johnson, I don't want you saying anything that might harm your case. I'm going to give you a signature bond through the jail. It's going to be a $5,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Mr. Duncan. Stay away from the 1401 West Paces Ferry Road address. You can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that you might have there. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Okay, good luck to you, Mr. Johnson.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Position 13, Jackson.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. Can you just repeat what the bond was?
5,000 signature through the jail. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Good afternoon, Mr. Jackson. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. You agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson, you've been charged in case 23 CR 000288B with forgery in the 4th degree. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
28 total. He got a hold out of Henry County. Probation. The offense is forgery. Last arrest was 2019, DeKalb County, criminal trespass conviction. 2019 probation shoplifting. 2014 probation forgery. Another 2014 probation. 2014 shoplifting conviction. Another shoplifting conviction, 2013 out of DeKalb. 2011 forgery in the 1st degree out of Gwinnett, that was a conviction. 2009, that was the Henry County forgery in the 1st conviction. Got another 2009 forgery conviction. Parole violation 08. Got burglary conviction. Oh, that was in the 90s. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Hollins.
Yes, Judge. This is a forgery of the 4th that occurred at 9600 Medlock Bridge Road, and that's MEDLOCK Bridge Road in Johns Creek, Georgia, which is a property of SunTrust Bank. The defendant entered into the bank and attempted to cash a fraudulent check in the amount of $1,320.15, which was written out to himself. The check was property of another person or another entity who was authorized as a representative of the to cash that check, and that was Singh Ventures, and that's SINGH Ventures LLC. And when contacted about this, the authorized representative denied issuing the check to the defendant. With the open hold out of Henry County and what I counted as 5 convictions for forgery and miscellaneous degrees, the state is requesting a $4,000 surety on the forgery in the 4th, a stay away from the incident location. And I'm asking for no further contact just because I don't know how he obtained that check. But outside of that, I know alcohol, drugs, and weapons while out on bond.
No further contact with whom?
I'm not sure, Judge. I would imagine any member or anybody that is connected to Singh Ventures LLC.
I don't know who that would be.
Yes, Judge.
I don't know who that would be. So I'll make him stay away from the bank, but without knowing specifically who he needs to have no contact with, I think that would be difficult for him.
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Adams? You're on mute, Ms. Adams.
Sorry, I hate when that happens. Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Jackson has not been arrested since 2019. He has experienced some college. He is a high school graduate, and he's lived in Georgia for 47 years. So he has extensive ties to the community. He also participates in community service activities where he helps the youth with basketball, and he also does lawn and landscaping as a community service event. He does some household contractor work as well as his form of employment. It is our understanding that he does have these holds, but he has also indicated that there's a possibility of some identity theft that has taken place. With that, Your Honor, we will be requesting a signature bond for Mr. Jackson.
All right, it's going to be a $4,000 good bond. Stay away from SunTrust Bank and at the Medlock Bridge location. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Jackson.
Position 21, Williams. No, it's not.
Good afternoon, Mr. Williams. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Good afternoon. Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Williams. You've been charged in case 23 CR 000298F with battery. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
6 total. Last arrest was January 2022, probation out of Clayton County. He's on probation for DUI out of Clayton County. 2021 probation, 2021 suspended license, and another DUI conviction from 2020. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Hollins.
Yes, Judge, this is a battery charge that stemmed from an incident that happened at 722 Creekside Way in Roswell, Georgia. The victim being one Miss Miana Harris, and that's MEANNA Harris, traditional spelling. Officers responded to a domestic dispute where the defendant would not leave the victim's house after being told to do so. The defendant, while at the incident location, grabbed the victim by her face from the rear and grabbed her so hard that she began bleeding. The victim had to lock herself in the bathroom at one point when she spoke with officers. Having not spoke with the victim yet, we are asking for a stay away, a no further contact with the victim, a $7,000 surety bond on the battery charge, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Williams is he's a 25-year-old man who actually is enrolled in school at Georgia State University. He actually moved from Ocilla, Georgia up here so that he can attend school. He's 20 credits shy of completing his undergraduate bachelor's degree, and he should be returning in the fall. He has been in Atlanta for about 8 years. He is gainfully employed. And as it relates to the incident, the alleged incident rather, it's our understanding that it in fact was a misunderstanding, and there's a potential there that he was actually defending himself. With that also, Your Honor, as it relates to his history, none of the previous charges that he have been considered to be violent. They're all driving matters. And with that, Your Honor, we would be requesting a signature bond for Mr. Cameron Williams.
And Judge, the state would object to a signature bond considering the warrant didn't allege any injuries or any scarring or anything like that to the defendant's face, only to the victims.
Yeah, Your Honor, I believe that those are facts that should probably be argued at a later date, considering that the purpose for today is to discuss bond. That's
okay. It's going to be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge. No further contact with Ms. Harris. Stay away from the Creekside Way address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you.
Position 12, Hill.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hull. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Hull, you've been charged in case 23 CR 000287C with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Yes, this is 5th arrest. Last arrest was 2021 battery DV. He's on probation for that out of state court. They gave him 12 months last year in March. 21 CR 002880C. Before that was 2009, possession of cocaine, cruelty in the third, possession of a knife or a firearm during a commission, unauthorized discharge of a firearm within 50 yards. Those were not prosecuted. And he had a trespass and cruelty that was dead docket from 09, 07 misdemeanor possession of marijuana conviction. I'm not
Okay.
sure about the victim from the last case, so how he got on probation.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes,
I don't mean to interrupt. If I'm mistaken, please someone can correct me, but I believe Mr. Hull was arrested on the 12th. Today's the 16th. My concern here is a Riverside issue.
Your Honor, while they're addressing that, I can look into that issue.
okay, thank you, Ms. Falk. We'll be with you, Ms. Moses. Thank you, Moses Counts.
Thank you.
Mr. Collins.
Yes, Judge, concerning that 2021 battery family violence, the victim was the same victim as in this case, a Miss Sharyetta Thomas, and that's SHARYETTA Thomas. The defendant and victim lived together at the time of the incident at 2745 Old Hapeville Road Southwest in apartment 507 in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're having some issues. The victim stated that they stated to the defendant that they needed to coexist until somebody could afford to leave the house. The defendant was intoxicated and got upset, called the victim a B word, and in turn, the victim called his mother a B word, and he in turn struck her in the face, causing her to fall off the bed. And then started stomping on her, leaving visible footprints on her shirt observed by the officer. Victim also had visible injuries to the left side of her face. Her son was the one that called the police. Defendant fled the scene and was later apprehended. The victim, as I understand, is going to be on the Zoom call and told our victim advocate that she does want contact. However, if Your Honor could or is able to give the conditions, we would be requesting a $7,000 surety, a stay away from the incident location, no further contact with the victim, Ms. Thomas, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
Yes, Your Honor. With regards to Mr. Hall, Mr. Hall is gainfully employed. He's been working at his job for more than 10 years. In addition to that, he has 4 children, 2 of which are still very dependent on him. He has a 10th grade education, and he has significant ties to the community, including the fact that he attends church. He talks with his pastor about some of the issues that he has with the alleged victim. And with that, Your Honor, we would be requesting a signature bond, because again, he does have 2 small children that are dependent upon him, and he has a job that he's had for over 10 years.
Are they children with Miss Thomas?
I'm not.
Yes, Judge, I believe so. I think our victim, my apologies, Ms. Adams,
Okay.
but yes, I think they are.
Is this Miss Thomas on the line? Okay, Ms. Thomas, good afternoon. If you would like to address the court, I'm going to have to get you to unmute your phone, and I'll have to swear you in. You're not required to address the court, but if you would like to address the court, I'm happy to hear from you.
Unmute your phone, Ms. Thomas.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
Can you raise your right hand for me?
Yes, sir.
Do you swear affirm the testimony about for this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
And what would you like to tell the court?
I just wanted to add to the court that my husband, we do have 2 children, and right now he is the only financial provider for the family, because I no longer have a job. I do not feel threatened for my life at all. I mean, it's just normal bickering and arguing. Like, I don't feel threatened for my life at all. He is this financial provider for our kids in our home. So,
Did you have to call the police? Did you call the police, Ms. Thomas?
I didn't call the police, no. I spoke with the police, but I didn't call them.
Okay.
If I may, Judge, who called the police?
I'm not for sure. They saying that I took a one eye. I didn't understand when they arrested him. They were saying that I took a one eye on him, which I did not. I'm not even understanding this case at all.
And Mr. Howard or Mr. Hollins, with the previous domestic violence case. I know that he's on probation for that. What were the the terms as far as contact?
So Judge, if I only have the bond, I had it as an open case with the same victim, and Judge Law had given him a no further contact order back in, I believe it was, I want to say.
I got it.
Okay.
It was, he pled NOLO. She gave him no contact. Waive probation fees first 5 months. It says no contact. Who's KH? Is the victim named KH, the initials? I don't know.
Well, it was my that it was the same victim. It's Ms. Thomas. It's on the line with.
It very well could be. Let me pull that one. Give me 1 minute. 1 moment.
And Your Honor, while they're doing that, we are showing that it's showing booked into the Fulton County Jail January 14th, 2023 at 1:21 a.m. Well, it says intake at 1:21 a.m., booked at 1:00 p.m. It also says arrested 1:12 at CDC. So I'm not sure what that means, but he was not brought to the Fulton County Jail until January 14th.
The victim on the old one is, Yetta Thomas? Is that who this victim is?
It's the same victim, Judge.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mr. Hull and Ms. Thomas, I understand your situation, but there, as a condition of the last sentence, he was to have no contact with you, Ms. Thomas.
I wasn't aware.
Okay, regardless of whether you're aware of it or not, he was to have no contact with you, okay? And when we go through a probation sentence, the judge makes certain that at least the person who is being sentenced knows that they're not to have any contact with you, all right? So he's in violation of his probation and subject to that being revoked. So you're not putting him in any better position by having him be around you. Okay, so with that said, Mr. Hollins, Ms. Adams, anything further?
Nothing further from State Judge.
Your Honor, we would just ask that the court consider the fact that Ms. Thomas is not in fear for her life, and the fact that Mr. Hall is the sole provider for their family, including two children. Your Honor, before you, as you make your consideration as to how you intend on disposing of this portion of his case, we would ask that you consider those things. Thank you.
Okay, and Ms. Adams, you know that regardless of what I consider, he has a condition that on his probation that doesn't have anything to do with this bond hearing. He's not to have any contact with Ms. Thomas. Okay,
Yes,
so, I'm going to place that in. I'm going to allow that to be a condition of this bond also. It's going to be a $5,000 good bond, no further contact with Ms. Thomas, stay away from the old Hateville Road address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. He's to have third-party contact he can have third-party contact with his children for visitation, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. And for both Mr. Hull and for you, Ms. Thomas, let me make quite clear, since you said that the last time you did not know, I'm going to make it quite clear for you what no contact means so that I know that I've told you. No contact means absolutely no contact. No physical contact, no phone contact, no internet contact, no social media contact, no contact whatsoever. If he is to have contact with your children, it's to be through a third party that can arrange for contact. If he does have contact with you, he is not only going to be in violation of this bond and subject to having it revoked, he is also will be in violation of his probation and subject to having that revoked. And I'm sure that is not something that either one of you want. All right, so if nothing further, good luck to you, Ms. Thomas, and good luck to you, Mr. Hall. Who do we have next?
Position 10, Hatchell.
Judge Moore, did you say,
Yes.
one-time escort on that last one?
Yes, he can have a one-time escort to retrieve any belongings.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hatchell. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Hatchell, you've been charged in case 23 CR 0000292D with theft by taking. I'm told by Mr. Howard that this is Mr. Hatchell's first arrest. Ms. Duncan.
From what I see, this defendant does have an additional arrest out of North Carolina in 2010. The disposition is not listed. It's not a theft offense, however. This incident has occurred around August 15th, 2022. The defendant in this case was employed by Medside Healthcare. The owner or operator of that company, Mary Mann, contacted officers when the defendant in this case was terminated from employment and failed to return an employee issued iPad. When officers reached out to the defendant about returning the iPad at that time, he stated that he was going to return the iPad. However, subsequently, he did not do so and then began to not answer officers' calls in regard to the iPad. At that point, this warrant was taken out. The location is 1120 Hope Road in Sandy Springs. That's Medside Healthcare. Given this defendant's limited history, the state is requesting a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. No further contact with Mary Mann or any employees at Medside Healthcare. Stay away from Medside Healthcare. No alcohol, drugs, and weapons. No further violations of Georgia law, and an anti-theft class.
It's going to be $1,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Mary Mann. Stay away from the Medside Healthcare. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you, Ms. Moses Counts?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Hatchell.
Position 7, Feaster.
Your Honor, from my understanding, this is a plea.
Yes.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Feaster. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Feaster, you've been charged in case 23 CR 0000284E with criminal trespass. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. You've been provided with the services of the public defender. It's my understanding that you wish to proceed pro se today. That means without the advice of counsel. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you wish to plead guilty to criminal trespass this afternoon?
Yes.
What's the offer, Ms. Duncan?
The state's offer in this case is 12 months probation, 1 day in jail, credit for time served, with the balance suspended, and to stay away from the 5 points MARTA station. Would Your Honor like the factual basis for the recommendation?
I would, but I want to make sure that that's Mr. Feaster's understanding of what the offer is. Is that your understanding, Mr. Feaster?
Yes.
And is that what you want to accept?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor. On January 14, 2023, this defendant was observed in the 5 points MARTA station and other MARTA stations bothering patrons, falling down on the train and exposing himself. He was told to leave and did not do so. He stayed on the train for an additional 3 hours, according to MARTA police officers. We do have some risk of reoffending, concerns about reoffending in this case. That's why the state is offering the 12 months probation in this case, Your Honor.
And the balance is going to be suspended. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Anything further?
Nothing further from the state.
Mr. Feaster, has he completed the paperwork and gotten it to you, Ms. Duncan?
Yes, I sent that back to Mr. Jordan.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Feaster, is my understanding case 23 CR 0000284E, you wish to plead guilty to criminal trespass. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are you under the influence? Can you raise your right hand for me, sir? Can you raise? Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Again, it's my understanding that you wish to plead guilty to criminal trespass. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are you under the influence of drugs or alcohol this afternoon?
No.
You understand you have a right to be represented by counsel, and it's my understanding that you wish to proceed pro se without the advice of counsel. Is that correct?
Yes.
You understand that you have a right to a trial by jury on this charge, and that by pleading guilty to it, giving up your right to a trial by jury?
Yes.
Did you have the opportunity to go through the plea paperwork?
Yes.
Did you go through it line by line and sign your name at the bottom?
Yes.
Did you do that? Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily with full understanding of the charge against you?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you're on probation, that your probation could be affected by your guilty plea here?
Yes.
You understand that if you're not a United States citizen, that your citizenship status could be affected by your guilty plea?
Yes.
Has anyone forced or coerced you to plead guilty?
No.
I'll accept the plea as negotiated, Mr. Feaster. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Position 6, Cutting.
Your Honor, just briefly, the state has just communicated to me an offer for Mr. Charmaine Hill. I'm not sure, I believe his position number is 11. And I would need to communicate that to him at some point.
Okay, is Mr. Hill in courtroom 2?
Yes, he is.
Okay, suppose you call courtroom 2?
Can they put their number in the chat, Your Honor?
They can give it to you. Can you give them the number? Would that be
44612-2392.
Thank you. I'm calling now.
all right? Thank you. And I'm sorry.
The only thing, Judge, the rest of the cases are for Ms. Moses.
Oh, okay. So Ms. Moses counts. Why don't we wait till the end of the calendar and then I'll, okay?
Okay, that's fine. My apologies. The state did just present this offer to me, so.
Ms. Moses counts, you're fine. Okay?
Thank you. I didn't want to hold anyone up.
And Ms. Moses count, that's my apologies. We sent the recommendations to the PDs we normally work with.
Understood. I just didn't want to hold anyone up.
Okay, you're fine.
Thank you.
Tell me again who we have.
Position 6, Cutting.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cutton. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is a state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Cutton, you've been charged in case 23CR000282J with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Second arrest, 2019, suspended registration.
All right, Ms. Duncan.
Yes, Your Honor, in this case that occurred on January 14th, 2023 at 608 Ralph McGill Boulevard Northeast, apartment 447, with the victim Cameron Radbadu, that's CAMERON, last name RABDAU. The defendant in this case is accused of having shoved the victim down to the ground after an altercation about giving his keys. They were arguing because he was intoxicated and she did not want to provide the keys given his intoxicated state. He pushed her and pushed her down to the ground, and the warrant indicates that he did restrain her at that point. He was throwing things around the apartment and destroying the apartment, Your Honor. We do have concerns about the risk of reoffense in this case. This incident does seem to be alcohol induced, and as a result of stated PTSD concerns from the victim in this case, we do want to make it clear that the victim in this case was also arrested, but given the facts and circumstances surrounding what was going on in the warrant, Your Honor, in the information we received, it's determined by us that this defendant was the primary aggressor in the location, and that the victim in this case was clearly defending herself and the property in question in this case. So we're going to request that $2,500 surety. No further contact with the victim in this case. Name is previously stated on the record. Stay away from the incident location. 1 day anger management, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
What is the incident location?
The incident location is 608 Ralph McGill Boulevard, Northeast, apartment 447.
And I take it that since they were both arrested, that you have not spoken with Ms. Rabdabit?
No, we have not, but we had statements from both parties in this incident as observed by officers on body-worn camera and taken at the time of the event.
Okay. Ms. Moses Counts?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 43 years old. He does have the good address at 608 Ralph McGill Boulevard. That is his residence. And it's my understanding that Ms. Rabdo, if she does return to that address, that my client would be able to reside elsewhere, but he does not believe that he does believe that she likely would reside back there. She doesn't have anywhere else to go, is what he told me. And if in that case, I just wanted to make it clear that he's fine. He would be able to find elsewhere to stay. He would like to have one-time visit with the sheriff to retrieve his personal items, as well as his minor child who does reside there with him. Furthermore, Your Honor, he wouldn't qualify for the services of the public defender after today. He does have custody of his also 15-year-old and an 18-year-old daughter. And I would ask for your consideration of a signature bond in light of the fact that he has virtually no criminal history. The likelihood of reoffense to me proffered by the state is unreasonable based on his history, or lack thereof rather. And so I would ask for your consideration of that signature bond. Thank you.
Okay, it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pre-trial per the judge, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with the alleged victim. He can go back to the Ralph McGill Boulevard address with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. That if Ms. Rabdaboo does not live there, then he can live there. If she is living there, then he's going to have to retrieve his belongings and find somewhere else for he and his children to reside. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Ms. Moses Counts, I'm not sure if your client has a question regarding going back to this Ralph McGill Boulevard. I think his hand went up when I said something about that. Would you like to?
Yes, sir. I don't want you to say anything factual about the case. If you have a question about
just about the case or the residence. I'm not from Georgia, Cameron is, and so it would be easier for her to go back to her parents' house in Buford than me go all the way back to Texas, and that's where I would take my kids. It's the only place I have family.
Okay, so Mr. Cutton, if Miss Rabdo is not at the Ralph McGill Boulevard, she's not going to live there, you can live there. But if she is going to live there, then you necessarily can't live there since you can't have any contact with her. So I'm going to allow you to go with law enforcement to see if she's living there. And if she's not, then you can stay there. But if she is, you're going to have to find someplace else, okay?
Sure, Honor.
All right, good luck to you, Mr. Cutton.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
Position 5, Concepcion.
Good afternoon, Mr. Concepcion. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 0000283H with battery. I understand that this is Mr. Concepcion's first arrest. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident did occur on January 15th, 2023 at 4847 Old National Highway. The victim in this case is Alimou Cone, that's ALIMOU, last name KONE. It's indicated that officers were dispatched to this location. Upon arriving at the location, they met with the victim in this case. He was standing outside of that location holding his face. He indicated that he had been attacked by someone inside of the establishment. The subsequent officers to arrive were able to view video footage of the incident. The footage indicated a security officer, later identified as the defendant in this case, attacking the victim. And the officer stated that it appears that the victim never saw the first punch coming because he was reaching into his pocket to retrieve his wallet. As indicated, when they spoke to the defendant in this case, he indicated to officers that when the victim entered the bar, they exchanged words, and he actually admitted to hitting the victim in this case. Because the defendant punched the victim had several lacerations on his face and was taken to Grady Hospital for those injuries. Our victim advocate was able to make contact with the victim in this case he wishes to have no further contact with the defendant in this case, and stated to our victim advocate that he's still having blurred vision as a result of this attack. So given this instance, Your Honor, we'll be requesting a $3,000 surety, no further contact with the victim in this case, 1 day anger management, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
Ms. Moses counts.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 27 years old. He does have a good address at 53 Clay Street, apartment 2 in Fairburn, Georgia. Your Honor, he does have a 4-year-old minor child that he is paying child support for and does provide care to. He does have good employment. In fact, he would not qualify for the services of the public defender after today. He again is gainfully employed. And so, Your Honor, he does lastly have significant ties to the state. He's been present in the state for the last 19 years. Based on the fact that he has no other prior criminal history, I would ask for your reasonable consideration for a signature bond.
All right, it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge, 1 day anger awareness, stay away from the old National Highway address, no further contact with the alleged victim, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
Position 1, Alexander.
Good afternoon, Mr. Alexander. I'm Judge Eric Moore. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Alexander, you've been charged in case 23 CR 000264J with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
22 total. Last arrest was December 2021, battery DV, criminal trespass, damage to property. 2017 probation, forgery in the third conviction, 2017. 2015 theft by taking and a parole violation. 2011 probation, entering auto, obstruction, theft by taking. 2011 forgery in the first obstruction conviction. 2010 theft by taking conviction. The entering auto and obstruction came from a 2010 arrest. 2009 entering auto, 08 probation. 08 trespass, entering auto, criminal attempt to commit a felony. Theft by receiving from 05 conviction.
Okay, Ms. Duncan.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident did occur on January 14th, 2023. The victim in this case is Mr. Cecil Woodard, that's C-E-C-I-L, Woodard, W-O-O-D-A-R-D. The victim and the defendant are boyfriends and they do live together. Officers were dispatched to the incident location of 2197 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive Southwest on the date as stated on the record. They encountered the victim in this case, and he stated to officers that he was jumped on by his boyfriend while he was sitting in the room on the bed. He indicated to officers that the altercation began as a verbal dispute because Mr. Woodard would not provide the defendant with more money to get more beer. He indicated that the defendant had been drinking all day. As a result of the attack, Mr. Woodard indicated that he attempted to leave the home. He received bleeding and abrasions as a result of the attack. Your Honor, we do have some concern about the risk of reoffense. In this case, this defendant did just recently take a no-low plea to battery family violence on January 6th of 2022. There was a different victim and there is a probation violation. So we do have some concern about the likelihood of this defendant to respond positively to the legal process. Given that this defendant has those 22 cycles with the most recent battery family violence conviction, we're going to be requesting a $5,000 surety in this case, no further contact with the victim, stay away from the incident location, a 2-week anger management course, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
Ms. Moses counts.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Alexander is 46 years old. He does have the address of 2197 MLK in Atlanta. He is not working, and so he would not have any income to post a monetary bond. He is not a flight risk. He's born and raised here. I understand the recitation of his criminal history. And in light of that, I would just ask for your consideration based on his means or lack thereof, for as low of a bond as possible. Nothing further.
Has anyone spoken to Mr. Woodard? Ms. Duncan, Ms. Moses Counts, either of you?
No, Your Honor, I have not spoke with the complaining witness.
No, and I just like to add for the record, my apologies, Your Honor, that there was third party who heard the incident from their location, and I just want to state that for the record.
Okay. It's going to be a $2,000 good bond. Since no one's heard from the alleged victim, it's going to be a no further contact for at this time from Mr. Woodard. Stay away from the MLK Jr. address. You can go back to the address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings that he might have there. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. If someone speaks to if he does not get out by the SAP calendar on January 31st, and someone speaks with Mr. Woodard regarding his wishes in this regard, then I'm happy to modify the bond if necessary. All right.
And again, Your Honor, if this individual is not at that residence once he goes with the sheriff, would he be permitted to remain? I do believe that is his home.
Okay. And I would take, I don't know if Mr. Woodard lives there, but if Mr. Woodard does not live there, he can go with a one-time law enforcement officer to see if Mr. Woodard's there. If he's there, he'd have to find somewhere else to go. If he's not there, if he does not live there, then of course he can stay there.
Thank you.
Okay. Good luck to you, Mr. Alexander.
Position 4, Clark.
Good afternoon, Mr. Clark. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Clark, you've been charged in case 23CR000281C with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
57 total. Last arrest was 2019 for suspended license. 2018 probation. He had an FTA in 2017 for suspended license. 2016 possession of cocaine. I didn't see any violence, at least going back like 20 years. I stopped there, but I ain't, he don't have any recent violence.
Okay. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, it did occur on January 14th, 2023 at the location of 752 Elibert Street Southwest in Atlanta. Officers were dispatched to that location. And they met with the victim in this case, who is a Kari Clark, that's Khari, Clark, common spelling, who is the child of the accused. I believe that is his daughter. She indicated to officers that a physical altercation ensued between her and her father when she attempted to get between a physical altercation between the defendant and her mother. She stated that she told her father to get off of her mother, and at that time, he struck her in the face, causing a visible abrasion and bleeding to her face. She said to officers that this incident between her father and mother did occur at about 3 a.m. in the morning. And they asked about the time that it took between her calling 911 and the incident. She stated to officers that after the incident and after the defendant struck her in the face, causing the bleeding and abrasions, he took her phone. And eventually when she was able to get her phone back, she did call 911. Officers at that location were able to speak to the mother. She indicated that she did not specifically see the defendant strike his daughter. However, she does confirm that she had marks that were not there before. Officers concluded that the defendant was the primary aggressor in this instance. And there were visible injuries. We do have some concern about the risk of reoffense. This defendant has a lengthy criminal history, and we do have some concerns about flight risk and the likelihood to respond positively to the legal process. This defendant does have an FTA and several probation violations. And it is for those reasons, Your Honor, that the state is going to be requesting a $3,500 surety. No further contact with the victim in this case. Let's stay away from the incident location. 1-day anger management course, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
Ms. Moses counts.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Clark does have the address of 752 Elbert Street. My apologies, he is 57 years old. Your Honor, he is gainfully employed and actually would not qualify for the services of the public defender after today. In light of the explanation of his most recent criminal history, I would ask for your consideration of a blow of a bond as possible. Nothing further.
Has anyone spoken with Ms. Clark or?
No, Your Honor, there's no contact number at all for his daughter. I did a victim locate search and it didn't yield no numbers at all. If the court, if we can ask the defendant for a number for the victim, and I can call.
Okay. Ms. Moses, I'm trying to determine whether or not he's going to be able to go back to the Elbert Street address. Do we know if Ms. Clark lives there, how old she is, anything of that nature?
Mr. Clark, if you could, I want you to understand you have the right to remain silent. I'm just gonna ask you a specific question and I just need you to give a specific answer and say nothing else, okay?
No problem.
How old is the daughter?
My daughter's 18.
Okay, does she have another place to live or is this her primary residence as well?
This is my daughter's primary residence because we moved. I moved in. I moved my family in my mother and father house after my mother and father gave me and my sister the house. We the only siblings, and but right now they are homeless. So
okay.
And they live in my home.
So what the judge is likely going to say is that if she's still there, you cannot return there. It's going to be a stay away from her or that incident location. If she doesn't live there, you'll be able to go back home.
I don't know if she lived there or not, but I'm saying that from the understanding I have, I don't know if she have anywhere to go.
Okay, that's all.
Can I say this? I mean, by me putting my child through private school and taking her to school every day, ever since she was in pre-K, I don't understand what's going on.
Okay, Mr. Clark, again, I don't want you to go through all of that because the prosecutor is listening and this is being recorded.
Okay.
So let's keep your rights intact, okay? You have the right to remain silent and it's for a good reason, okay? All right, so Judge, she's 18. He's not aware if she's going to remain at the home, basically. And so I would just ask for the record that he be permitted to remain at his address if she's not there, that he has permission to go one time with the sheriff to verify whether or not she is remaining at the residence.
From state's interpretation, it seems as if they all live at that location. So the state will be requesting that stay away from the incident location. And given that after this incident, he took her phone, it seems like she is there probably often. So we would just be requesting that stay away, given that it did not only involve the daughter, it involved a physical altercation with the mother as well.
Your Honor, he's not unless the state is reaccusing this, he's not here for any offense with the other woman. He's here accused of a crime involving his daughter. And so again, if his daughter chooses not to reside there after this incident, he should be permitted to stay at his home. Otherwise, I would ask for the one-time sheriff to go with him to see if she in fact is planning to remain there. It doesn't really matter whether or not she was choosing to stay there before this. She may change her mind and not want to stay there any further. So I would just ask for all parties' safety that my client be able to show up to that residence with the sheriff to verify whether or not she plans to remain.
Okay. It's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial for the judge, 1-day anger awareness. At this point in time, no further contact with the alleged victim, Ms. Clark. He can go back to the Elbert Street address on one occasion with law enforcement to verify whether or not Ms. Clark is residing there. If Ms. Clark is residing at the Elbert Street address, then he necessarily cannot reside there and we'll have to find somewhere else to live. If she is not residing there, then he can stay. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Claude.
Thank you, sir.
They would just like to notice objection to the signature bond in the battery with family violence case where injuries are alleged on the record.
Okay, so noted. Who do we have next?
That's it, Judge. We have position 11, but he has to stay at the phone to talk to Ms. Moses.
Okay, what about position 15?
For position 15, it's going to be a medical reset. They went to Brady.
Okay, so that's reset for tomorrow. And what about position 3?
And position 3 bonded out.
Bonded out.
Bonded out.
Judge Morrow, who is position 15? Because I don't have the position numbers, I just have the names.
Okay, you're fine. Reynold Mason.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Moses Counts, can you go ahead and call for me? What about this position 11, Charmaine Hill?
That's the one, Judge.
Oh,
That's who I'm about to call the jail for, Your Honor.
okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. You're welcome. So go ahead and call, and we will be in recess until Ms. Moses Counts comes back.
I'm back, Your Honor.
Okay.
So position 11 is going to be a pro se plea.
Okay. Has the paperwork been completed?
My understanding, Mr.
No,
Hollins, is
Not
that
yet. Yeah, no, not yet,
Oh.
Judge. And I guess I'll have to coordinate getting that done with the defendant then.
This is position 11, Mr. Hill.
Okay, so we're gonna have to get you the paperwork so that he can go through that.
Judge Morrow,
Yes,
is he taking a plea?
apparently he is. So
I didn't get anything yet.
We didn't receive anything.
I'm gonna be emailing the plea paperwork to Sergeant Norris now.
while he's doing that, Mr. Jordan, can we go through the calendar so that once the pleas take will be done?
Position 1 was a $2,000 good bond reset to the 13123 SAP calendar. Position 2 was a $3,000
I'm
sign-on
sorry,
bond.
Mr. Jordan, you said $1,000 or 2,000?
2,000.
Two?
Yes,
Okay.
20.
Mhm.
Position 2 was a $3,000 sign-on bond pretrial per judge. Position 3 made bond reset further notice. Position 4 is a $3,000 sign-on bond per judge. I'm sorry, sign-on bond pretrial for the judge. Position 5 is a $3,000 sign-on bond pretrial per judge. Position 6 is a $3,000 sign-on bond pretrial per judge. Position 7 was a plea. Position 8 is a $3,000 sign-on bond jail. Position 9 is a $1,000 sign-on bond jail. Position 10 is a $1,000 sign-on bond jail. Position 12 is a $5,000 good bond, reset SAP. Position 13 is a $4,000 good bond, reset SAP. Position 14 is a $5,000 sign-on bond jail. Position 15 is reset to 117.23 SEA. Position 16 is a $4,000 good bond, reset SAP, $2,000 per chart. Position 17 is a $2,000 good bond, $1,000 per charge, and that's reset SAP. Position 18 is a $5,000 sign-on bond jail, $5,000 sign-on bond jail. Sorry. Position 19 is a $4,000 sign-on bond jail, $2,000 per charge. Position 20 is a $5,000 sign-on bond pretrial per judge. Position 21 is a $5,000 sign-on bond pretrial per judge. And position 22 is a $3,000 good bond, reset SAP. That's $2,000 for the battery and $1,000 for the cruelty to children.
I'm sorry, can you repeat? You said 22 is a what?
$3,000 good bond. It was $2,000 for count 1 and $1,000 for count 2.
And just to get some clarification on position 17, my understanding was Judge Morrow said he was following the recommendation of the state, which was a $10,000 surety bond, not 2.
I thought he said 2.
Yeah, he said 2.
Oh.
1,000 per count.
Well, if that was misheard, then Ms. Falk is correct.
Yeah, it should have been 10.
10,000?
Oh, was it 10,000?
For what position?
17.
Position 17.
Oh, 1 second.
Is that 5 and 5? Judge?
5,000 per charge?
That's correct. That was a recommendation.
Okay.
We got bad audio today.
So you're saying for position 17 is 5,000 each
Yes,
for a total of 10,000 a good bond.
correct.
And just to make sure, on position 9, I had a $3,000 signature bond, but I may have misheard that. I knew it was a 1,000 on position 10, but I thought the court said 3,000 on position 9.
No,
I got 1,000.
That's 1,000.
1,000. Okay, thank you.
Officer Norris is getting ready to email it to you. I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Do you have it, Mr. Hollins? No? Okay.
Not yet. I'm refreshing my email right now.
Position 11 is ready, Judge. Mr. Hill.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Hill. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Thank you, Mr. Hill. You've been charged in case 23 CR 000286C with criminal trespass. Mr. Hill, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We've provided you with the services of the public defender this afternoon. It's my understanding that you wish to proceed without the advice of a lawyer and you wish to plead guilty to this criminal trespass charge. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hollins, can you put the offer on the record for me, please?
Yes, Judge, 12 months probation, 1 day in jail, credit for time served, balance suspended, and a stay away from three-way groceries located at 1695 Pryor Road in Atlanta, Georgia.
Is that your understanding of the offer, Mr. Hill?
Yes, sir.
And that's what you want to accept?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you received the paperwork, Mr. Hollins?
Yes, Judge, I've received it.
Okay, and everything's okay with it?
Yes, let me double check. Hold on, I'm sorry. I should have looked at that. Yes, Judge.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hill, it's my understanding that in case 23 CR 000286C, you wish to plead guilty to criminal trespass. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol this afternoon?
No, sir.
You understand that you have a right to be represented by counsel, and it's my understanding that you wish to proceed without the advice of counsel this afternoon. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You understand that you have a right to a trial by jury on this charge, and that by pleading guilty to it, you're giving up your right to a trial by jury?
Yes, sir.
You don't want a jury trial, do you?
No.
Okay. Did you have the opportunity to go through the plea paperwork line by line?
What paper?
The paperwork that you just filled out. You went.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you went line by line?
Yes, sir.
Did you sign your name at the bottom?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty to criminal trespass freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
You understand that if you are currently on probation, that your probation may be affected by this guilty plea?
Yes, sir.
You understand that if you're not a United States citizen, that your citizenship status may be affected by this guilty plea?
Yes, sir.
Has anyone forced or coerced you to plead guilty?
No, sir.
I'll accept the plea as negotiated, Mr. Hill. Good luck to you, sir.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we're completed here in courtroom 2, Judge.
Thank you so much. I'll see you in the morning.
Tomorrow. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
All
Have a
right.
good one. Be safe.
Do the same.
Thank you.
All right. Anything further from anyone this afternoon? All
Are you
right.
coming in tomorrow, Judge? Or you
Happy
working
New Year,
remote?
Judge.
Say it again, Ms. Moses Counts.
I just said Happy New Year.
Oh, you also.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Jordan, I'm going to come for the SAP calendar in the morning, so I'll see you then.
Okay, thank you.
Good to
All
see
right.
you, Judge.
Yeah, good to see you also, Mr. Purcell.
All right.
And you all have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
All right.
All right.